Hey everyone, today I'm going to review Return of the Condor Heroes comic book series. This is the collector's edition box set. This comic book series is based on the novel written by Chinese author Louis Cha, and the art is by Wei Tianbing, an artist based here in Singapore. So the story is actually one of my favorite stories among everything that I have read to date, and this comic book is also one of my favorite comic books that I have owned and read over the years. What I have here is a loan copy from publisher Asia Pac Books. So this was originally released in 1995 in 18 volumes, and back then I bought all of them. Eventually I had to sell my books because I ran out of space and the pages they were turning yellow, like very yellow. So it's really great to see a reprint from the publisher, because this is one of the best, if not the best, comic book or comic book series to ever be released in Singapore. So let me just show you how the box set looks. It's really heavy, and we have this art here on the book spine that is split into 6 parts. That is the same logo design that's used for all the books over the years, and this is one of the cover illustrations. Wow, it's very heavy. So these are the cover artworks for the 6 books. You can get this book from Asia Pac Books website. It's priced at 288 Singapore dollars, which translates to around 214 US dollars. Let me just take out all the books first. The release of this box set is made possible thanks to a successful Kickstarter fundraising campaign. Only 1,000 box sets are released, and it's split half into the English edition, which I have here, and the Chinese edition. Each edition only has 500 sets. If you're watching this review and you want to buy this but you are based not in Singapore, it probably doesn't make sense to buy this and have it shipped to your location, because the books are so thick, they are really heavy, so shipping is going to be really expensive. So the alternative is to go with the PDF edition, which is half the price. The PDF edition is just the digital version of the book, and at the time of this review, the PDF edition is only available in English. Now, if you can definitely get the Chinese edition, if you can read Chinese, because the original novel was written in Chinese, and Chinese words they have, or the Chinese language has subtleties that are difficult to translate to English. But the English edition is good as well. The translation is actually done really well. So most of the artworks are just on single page, as in there is rarely any art that crosses over the page gutter. So when it comes to reading the PDF edition, you can enjoy the art as it is. Each book has over 450 pages. The binding is quite good. It's a flexible binding that allows you to open the comic book flat. So it's a hardcover with a dust jacket. And that's Louis Cha. This guy authored 15 books, and he is most well known for his wuxia novels. Wuxia is martial arts and chivalry. What I like about the stories from Louis Cha is the stories are the type where you have to keep on reading to find out what's going to happen next, and the character development is fantastic. The characters, they have so many layers to them, and after you have finished reading the whole novel, it feels like you have made a few new friends. So many of these characters are actually quite well known in the Mandarin speaking community, and in terms of how popular or well known Louis Cha is, I guess you can compare him to J.K. Rowling and her Harry Potter books. So many of his books, they are actually adapted into comic books. into TV shows, movies, snippets of his stories have been reproduced in newspapers on a regular basis, and his books are still being reprinted over and over again. So the first few pages of this reprint are in color, and we have the black and white art. The art from Wei Tianbing is like really good. Back then, when I bought this book, when I saw the art, I was really amazed, and it's just really good. The art is very detailed, and you can tell Wei Tianbing, his technique is really good as well. And here is a very detailed illustration of the temple above this mountain where the protagonist Yang Guo is supposed to train. The paper quality is the typical comic book type paper quality. It's off-white. Take a look at the amount of details in these panels. So even by today's standards, this is amazing. You don't really see Singapore comics drawn at this level of quality. The story in Return of the Condor Heroes is actually romance mixed with martial arts, but it's not the mushy type of romance. It actually tells the story of how Yang Guo met with this dragon lady and how their relationship develops as student and teacher, and that relationship develops over like decades. The storytelling is very deep. It goes in very deep, and this is just the second story from Louis Cha in this overall arc. There is actually another novel prior to or before Return of the Condor Heroes, and then there is another story after Return of the Condor Heroes. Unfortunately, Wei Tianbing only drew for Return of the Condor Heroes. He did not draw the first and the third novel. So this is how he trained with his teacher, the Dragon Lady. Now, Louis Cha's books are very popular for very obvious reason. The storytelling obviously is one of them, and the character, I think, mostly comes down to how multi-layered the characters are. Each villain will have his or her motivations, and you can get to read about their backstories to find out why they behave in a certain way. And it's not like those villains are always bad. Most of the time they are actually driven by circumstances, their backstories to behave in a certain way. There is a lot of rivalry, a lot of intense emotions with the storytelling. There is this constant up and down rhythm to the storytelling, and all good stories will have this up and down rhythm. So one moment it can be quiet, the next moment you get some action, and then it comes back to a quiet scene with some character development, some backstory, and then the next page could have something happening. There are always things happening in this story. At the back of the book, we have some extra content like the Q comics, which are the chibi or cutesy comics based on the characters. There are also some letters written by fans, some character artwork, and some behind the scenes on how the comic was created. This is the character guide. That's Wei Tianbing and Louis Cha. Here are some stories on the artist's motivation and the recognition that the comic book series got. So the book, the comic, went on to do really well in Hong Kong and Taiwan. I actually collected a lot of these wuxia comics more than 20 years ago. And I went with comics rather than the original novels because with the original novels it's just pages after pages of text, but with graphic novels or comics like this, I mean, this is obviously easier to read and there is a lot of action going on and the drawings are amazing. And Wei Tianbing is just one of the many artists who actually drew Return of the Condor Heroes. There are other artists from Hong Kong who also drew the same story, and I have watched a lot of TV shows and remakes of stories based on this story. So it's a very timeless story that will still be popular even many years later. So this is a comic series I can highly recommend to people who like to read comics, graphic novels, and to people who don't like to read comics as well, because the underlying story is just too good. Oh, they had a baby. Actually, it's not their baby. Their love story is actually quite tragic because he's the student and she's the teacher, and the Wuxia world frown upon student-teacher relationship just like in the real world. So throughout the decades, people have been trying to keep them apart. So Sorry, I was lost for words earlier because I got too emotional when I remembered their story and the things they had to go through over the years. So the box set is pricey, yes, but it's definitely worth the money considering the quality of the art and the story you can get. And if you are overseas watching this video, consider getting the PDF edition so that you can enjoy the story. Yeah, so 5 out of 5 stars easily from me. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next review. Bye.